Okay, thank you. All right, today's session is going to be pretty straightforward. It's an introductory session. It's the kickoff session for what is going to be a 4 weeks long journey. And that journey is not going to be a journey you're going to make by yourself. It's going to be a journey we're going to do together as a family. Um, I know that a lot of more persons are supposed to be here, but we put this journey together for you as Global Wins because we believe in the power of mentorship. I think for the most part, I believe that two things would make your journey really faster, right? Your ability to be thorough and your ability to be mentored, right? If you are going to do something, I believe it should be done with all your might. You should give it your best shot. So if you want to apply for anything, I don't believe in apply for 100 jobs and then get 40 rejections, 5 acceptance. I believe strategic application is more than the numbers, right? So that's why we're doing this. We're doing this to give people very practical sessions, very practical help, right? And we're doing this as Global Wins, part of what we do as You Lead International, right? I started Yale International when I was still in the university, 2017. I think that was my final year. I was like, a lot of young people do not necessarily know where to turn to for purpose or when it comes to like careers. They don't know that their careers or their course of study is supposed to be a tool, right? And we decided to start something focused on discovering your purpose, something focused on using your career as a tool for professional development, gaining skills that allow you become satisfied, whether in a leadership position, in an entrepreneurial position, or if you want to do full-time work with an organization as it were, right? And when we started this, I think at the time we're just like 10 persons back then. But these 10 persons have grown to 4 different states in Nigeria, grown to a database. Currently, I think we have about 80 volunteers in Nigeria at this time. And this is our 6th year, right? And it's been an amazing journey. We have several products out there. We have put a lot of people in several career places and all that. And we decided to then go forward with launching our mentorship platform, which is called Global Wins, right? And this we are doing focused on careers and scholarships because we know that lots of people want to get scholarships and lots of people want to get assistance when it comes to career. You would take a shorter route to get to your destination if you have a map or you have a guide and you have someone telling you how best to navigate because it will take you a shorter amount of time to process the vast amount of information available out there, right? And if you're getting advice or you're getting counsel, it doesn't mean you're not supposed to do the work. We believe that people who are serious enough to do the work should be given the chance to do the work. That's why we have people who have very vast amount of experiences and very rich amount of expertise and achievements to show you the ropes. So besides scholarships, we are also supporting for careers as well. And we'll be having a session next month focused on careers as it were. You'll find all of this when you're part of Global Wins. And this time around, today is the Global Wins Bootcamp. I first would run you through what the Chevening Scholarship is about briefly and how you can quickly plan your career, and then we'll give you assignments and then tell you what to do with the Chevening Application Bootcamp hashtag posts that you'll be making on social media, right? I just want to see in the chat box, those of you joining us from Sierra Leone, from maybe Ethiopia, Uganda. Do we have any Uganda folk in the house today? If you have, just please type in the chat box and let's see the countries that you are from. What country is most represented here today? I'm looking at the chat section to see the responses that will come in. Kenya, Uganda, fantastic, right? Nigeria, let's just keep them coming. Yeah, interesting. Wow, Nigeria again. Okay, Nigeria, Sudan, yeah, Sudan, Somalia, Kenya, Sudan. Okay. Sudan. Interesting. Okay. I believe that there are lots of people, and as you can see on the screen, we have several testimonials from some countries. In this current year, some of the people will be going for the Chevening Scholarship this year, possibly in the next couple of weeks. Um, we have about 13 to 15 of them who applied and were supported from the application through interviews on the Global Wins platform. And these are some of the testimonials that they have shared, right? One of the things we did last year is we took time to thoroughly review people's essays. We took time to um, give very quality feedback, helped them profile, supported them with interviews. All of these things we did for free because we wanted to give back, not because it was very convenient. Because if you're doing an MSc, nothing really is convenient. Like Damilare, who is currently here on this call with me, that you'll be meeting shortly. A friend and a colleague is currently working on his thesis. Likewise, myself, right? And several other projects. I mean, and life's demand, as it were. And none of you here are on this call conveniently because it's convenient, or you believe that this is where you should be and that's why you're here. So I believe that you would take this opportunity seriously because we've planned a whole lot that if you actually give yourself to the process, which I believe, and I believe so much in the process. I don't believe in cutting corners. I believe so much in process. I believe so much in excellence. I believe in being thorough because before my foster mom died, she said to me, the future belongs to those who are thorough, right? And that has been a word that has stayed with me all my life, right? I'm saying that to say that a lot of things have been prepared for you. Please, Dami, if you could help me mute everyone else. A lot of things have been prepared for you, right? Just give yourself to the process. And I'm hoping and fingers crossed that you will not just be selected for the interviews come February, you'll be selected for the scholarship come 2025, right? If you have that conviction, right? Please, you could also react in the chat box section. Thank you. Moving on. I believe that the Chevening Scholarship is not for everyone, right? It's not for everyone. First things first, there are other scholarships and other opportunities that you are more suited for aside from Chevening, right? For example, some people want to apply for a scholarship that requires very strong academic background. For example, the Rhodes Scholarship. When you want to apply for the Rhodes Scholarship, you are entitled to doing 2 master's degree. You have to have like at least a first class or a distinction in your undergraduate degree. And you should be thinking about a top class university like Oxford that has like departments or schools or societies, as it were, that you have to apply to separately, right? Now, that is a scholarship that is purely academic. Commonwealth, for example, is also a scholarship that is purely academic, such that if you apply for a Commonwealth scholarship, even though you have 1 year of work experience, you could get it. Even though you are currently serving in your youth service corps, if you're from Nigeria, you could get it, right? It depends on you knowing the opportunity that fits you, the opportunity that fits your journey. Not every opportunity fits your journey, right? But if Chevening Scholarship is what you want to do, then it means that you are looking towards a leadership-based scholarship, a scholarship that is based on leadership. Leadership in this sense being taking responsibility, participating in society, contributing meaningfully to not just your community, but supporting the solving of problems in our local communities, right? If that's the kind of profile that you have, then the Chevening Scholarship is the right opportunity for you. And aside from the Chevening, you know that there are also other school-based scholarships, right? I have mentees who got the Swedish Institute Scholarship, mentees who also got like um what's it called? School-based scholarships like an MSc in Georgia with research assistantship, fully funded, as it were, right? These opportunities have to fit your profile, right? So you don't just jump into anything that comes. Now, the Chevening Scholarship is one of the UK's government scholarship, aside from the Commonwealth, because the Commonwealth is way older than the Chevening Scholarship. And what they are looking for is people with a leadership profile, people with a leadership profile, whether it's a leadership in professional setting, a leadership in the community, a leadership. So some people then say, must you have an NGO? Must you be a medical doctor? Not necessarily, right? The question is, do you have visionary insights? Can you solve problems within your community? These are the things that you look out for. And now, what's the worth of achieving scholarship? I think by the time I was coming for my master's in the UK, tuition in my tuition in my school, my first choice was Imperial College. I think my tuition was £43,000, right? £42,000 translated to Naira at the time was over 50 million. So each Chevening scholar, right, is worth between, say, 40,000 to 60,000 pounds. Convert that to your local currency. Each Chevening scholar is worth about 60,000 pounds on an average, right? It's very prestigious, very expensive. It's the kind of scholarship you go for if you really want to pursue your master's without getting distracted, not necessarily because you want to run away from your country, as you think you might get on opportunities here. And when you start to work, and maybe you are doing menial job, trying to raise funds, as it were, all of those kind of things that you're thinking about, right? The Chevening Scholarship is not a jackpot route out of the country. You have better chances doing other things than pursuing the Chevening, right? The Chevening Scholarship has a strong eligibility criteria that you have to meet for you to get it. I'm sure you already have gone through all the websites, but I really needed to put this here at the beginning of our bootcamp, that this profile fits you if you are visionary. It fits you if you have a leadership profile, if you have the ability to solve problems within your local community. What is JAPA? People in the comment section will explain to you what is JAPA, right? So the Chevening Scholarship is a lot of money. Now, let me now say this before we proceed. One of the things you should know is, for example, in each country, they take about 30 to 40 applicants each year. And in each country, the loads of applicants that come from each country is a lot. For example, in Nigeria, I think at the time that we applied, it was about 17,000. That means what was the number for those that applied from our country when we applied, when we got it?
Yeah, I think that was about, what was it again?
I was thinking
I
17,000.
think something,
Yeah.
yeah, 70, maybe 73 or so.
Okay,
Yeah.
73,000 people applied globally, 70,000 from Nigeria, right? 70,000 from Nigeria alone. And out of 17,000 people, they selected just 44 persons, right? 44 persons from our country, right? And this year, they selected 32. Based on information I have, they selected 32 persons this year from Nigeria. And that's because there is a large body of applications coming from there. I'm sure like countries like Uganda, I don't know how many were selected last year or the years before, but I'm guessing it's going to be between, say, 25 to 40 at most, right? Now imagine the competition, right? And imagine your profile. Imagine your profile. The reason I'm saying this is because the minimum requirement says that you have to have 2 years of work experience. And now there are people who do not just have 2 years of work experience, they have 5 years of work experience with reasonable focused achievement. They have a profile that fits leadership, academic excellence, networking, or community building, as it were, that would stand a better chance, right? It's not that you might not stand a better chance. You might just need to work one extra year before you apply, right? I first thought about the application in 2019. I never did anything about it because I was still working. 2019, I think I had just 3 years of work experience as of 2019, right? By the time I made my application, it was 2022, right? 2022, 2022, okay, I'm not sure again. But then I came last year, so which means I made my application in 2022. So I know the thing about time. And in this process, in the 6 years, I wasn't applying for several other opportunities. I just was doing the work I was doing. I just kept doing the things I was doing at my place of work and all of that, right? So we need to know when it's the right time for your profile, when is the right time to properly reflect. Some of you don't have a profile problem or an eligibility problem. You just have not been strategic enough with your stories. You just have not been holistic enough. I can tell you some persons are reaching out to me and they're saying, I got to the interview stage. It means my essay is good. Should I use the same essays? Right? Now, it's more than an essay that gets you a slot. It's beyond the essay. These are the things we want you to start to think about in these 4 weeks, right? But I'm not going to keep speaking. I'm going to, at this time, introduce to you the person that's going to walk us through some of the things we'll be looking at today, right? I have a friend on the call who's going to be one of our key mentors for this year. You're going to meet several other mentors, right? His name is Damilare Ojo. Is a CFA charter holder. Is an intelligent young man. And I think based on the recent insights we gathered from our investigation of him, Damilare, you can turn on your camera now. Let me put you on the spotlight, yeah? Based on the recent information we've gathered about him, Damilare is heading for a distinction from the University of Liverpool, right? Now you could see before he did this in Nigeria, he was already leading when it came to microeconomics, financial market analysis, equities, and all of those kind of things, fixed assets, fixed incomes, infrastructure in the background. You would have seen Dami on Channels TV, Arise TV, CNBC Africa. Now imagine competing against someone like Dami and you just came out from NYC and you want them to give you your Chevening scholarship slot. How are you gonna do it? How are you going to The point I'm making is your profile is important, right? That's why Damilare is going to be talking you through profiles. Please, everyone, some people will have their videos on and their videos are a bit distracting. And if you're comfortable turning on your video, it's fine. But the only thing we want you to do today is get your notes and be ready to take notes, right? Like I said, Dami plays the piano. Dami enjoys traveling. He enjoys teaching. He literally volunteered his time. In front of him is his computer, and he's basically also working on his thesis right now, right? Dami is my friend. And if you're looking at doing anything relating to financial economics or analysis, Dami is the guy to go to, right? Financial modeling is not beans. If they tell you about modeling, that's strong mathematics skills required right there. That's not funny at all, okay? That's something that his expertise really falls to, right? Besides, before he came for this, he was the former head of investment and research. So can we just like put our hands together for Dami? He will be coming up shortly. I just wanted to let you guys know the kind of people that you'll be interacting with, right? In the course of our sessions. Can we get reactions in the chat box for our legend, Dami? You can go and Google him on LinkedIn. You can just go on LinkedIn, Google him, like follow him on LinkedIn, you know. That's a legend right there. Okay, moving on. Yeah, my humble self. Basically, I'm the founder of ULEAD International. I do a little bit of behavioral design, large related around human-centered design. I think when it comes to public health and when it comes to like people-centered work, as regards developing public health-related solutions for maternal health, vaccination programs across countries, right? I've supported the likes of UNICEF to do a lot of things with ministries of health globally, right? My work has largely been around how we can get communities to adopt local solutions instead of importing solutions that really do not work. So I've been trying to contextualize solutions so far, so good, right? For example, some of the problems we have solved in the past has been how do we get people to demand vaccination services or demand health services, right? And so recently, I'm working with the Match Center as LSHTM as a research associate, right? And I'm pursuing an MSc in Public Health Development at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine here in London, right? What I'm looking to do today is to also support you guys in your journey. You're going to be seeing a lot of me, but most especially some of our other mentors. We have about 40 of them on the group, right? You'll be seeing them across these days. Some of you will be paired with them as we go forward. Some of you will be given assignments from them. But one of the things we want you to take note of is the fact that you have a profile of people that are ready to contribute to you on this journey, right? Moving forward, the bootcamp. We planned what you'll be doing for the next 4 weeks, right? And we've sent a link to this document in your WhatsApp group, and I think maybe you'll be giving this document via email as well. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of what you should expect, right? And I'm going to bring Dami up, and he's going to walk us through today's session. Today, we're just basically introducing the application and profiling, right? But we're going to give you an assignment today. Each of the participants on this call is supposed to work on their personal profile. They're supposed to work on their professional profiles. They're supposed to build like school and application trackers, right, for themselves in the course of this week. That's what you're going to do after this session, right? So, like we said, it's about doing the work, finding time to do the work. And please take note, if you don't do the work, when your submission date comes, you likely might be removed, right? Just take note about that. The next thing is next week we'll be focusing on statement of purpose and references. We'll be writing and showing you how to write. Also, the week after, we'll focus on two essays, the leadership essay and the networking essay, writing those essays. And then the fourth session, we're focusing on writing the Study in the UK essay and the career plan essay, right? The career plan essay. Then we'll move on to reviewing essays in the fifth session. We'll start reviewing essays from the fifth session, and then we'll onboard a new set of people to our second cohort from that time, right? So we want you to know all of these things so that you can prepare your mind, okay? All of this has been shared with you. Please take note of that. So after each session, the plan is that you have 1 week to do work before the next section. After each section like this, right, you have like 1 week before the next section to get work done. Now, from Monday, which is tomorrow, you have to build an application tracker, either on Excel. So your classes will be Saturdays and Sundays, right? But we started on Sunday. That's why we are starting on Sunday. Okay. I'm trying to respond to Peace, Yesu. Classes are Saturdays and Sunday only, right? But Monday to Fridays, you have activities that we have planned that you have to go through. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, everyone? Can I get some feedback and responses?
Yeah, it
Yes,
actually
yes.
makes a lot of sense. Thank you
Yes,
very
it
much.
does.
It makes sense.
Okay, fantastic. So after today's session, your work tomorrow, which is Monday, is work on your application tracker, either on Excel or on Google Sheet. Your application tracker, you will see a sample, you see a link to building one, right? On Tuesday, work on a career reflection. Based on what Dan is going to share with you shortly, you're going to take time to reflect on Tuesday, right? Who are you really? What are the adjectives that describe you? I have a friend who is a Commonwealth scholar who graduated from my school with distinction, right? She sent me a resume and she's working somewhere in a research institute. She sent me a resume and she has done so much, but she really cannot communicate exactly what she has done so much, right? Now, one of the things that we stop to do is we really do not reflect on who we really are in terms of what we have done, how we describe ourselves, and how we see ourselves, right? And that's one of the things that you'll be doing when it comes to your personality test and reflections. You will take that and you'll be submitting that as well, right? On Wednesday, we have a link to resume optimization, right, that you'll be reading and going through. Then on Thursday, you'll be working on your own LinkedIn and optimizing your LinkedIn yourself. I strongly believe in do it yourself, right? I strongly believe there is so much information out there that can allow you to do anything yourself, right? So we're taking a do it yourself approach to these things and only providing the guidance because that's what mentorship is about, right? I can't do the work for you. Dami cannot do the work for you. You have to do the work yourself. Okay. Then on Friday, you are submitting assignments. So if you did not catch up, you are someone who procrastinates, you are always laid back. Please know that you might not be able to survive this bootcamp if you are laid back. So you need to do some adjustments on your personality. You need to adjust to how you plan and how you get things done, okay? So just that back of mind. Moving on, the second week, we would be writing essays. But first, we have a resource for how to write essays that you will have to read. I think it's the best book on how to write essays is by Donald Asher, the fourth edition. You're just going to read 2 chapters from 6 to chapter 8, and you start to select your schools, and then you see some videos already made on YouTube that you go through, and then you'll be submitting your draft essays from week 3, right? Please take note that this bootcamp is very intense, right? And all of these things were planned for you. I don't want to keep talking, and I don't want to get you lost so soon. So I'm just going to pause for a moment and ask if you have any questions for me. Please raise your hand. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, this is the time you raise your hand. Questions, feedback, comments. This is the time you raise your hand. Questions, feedback, comments. This time you raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Fantastic. 4 hands have been raised. Miracle, you were the first hand I saw. So Miracle, please, quickly.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I wanted to know, like, from the past people from Global Wins that got the Chevening scholarship, like their profile in terms of their work experience. Would you like probably tell us how much work experience they have that contributed to their application package? Thank you.
Wow, interesting question. Okay, thank you. Next question. Ola, your hand was the next hand that was raised.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for all the efforts in this program. So I have 2 questions, quick questions. I have been selected last year for the interview, but didn't make it. So my question is how I'm supposed to build myself for this year. Can I like write the same things, or I have to change it? Even if I added some experience, can I write the past experience in the same way? My second question is, if I have lots years of experience, does that affect me negatively, or can it's always positive?
Let me get with your second question. What was the second question? What was the
The
second
second
question?
question is the years of experience. If I have many years, for example, above 5 years, will that affect me negatively, or is it always a positive thing?
Okay, thank you. All right. So Nancy, I will take you next, and then Solomon. Then the rest of you write your questions in the chat box and I'll go through them. So Nancy, next question quickly.
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity. Now, my question is with regard to the assignment for the first day on Monday. When you say build your application tracker, do you just want to see the one for Chevening alone, or any other scholarships that we are also considering?
Okay, I can answer that straight away. Application tracker for schools, for scholarships, for everything you're trying to apply for this period, including jobs. Nancy, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Okay, Solomon. Moving on to Roland. Roland.
I'm coming, sorry. My bad. Good evening, and thank you very much, Martin and team, for organizing this. I joined in a little late because I was offline and I've been checking my email very, very many times and couldn't get anything. Maybe my request is if we can have these schedules also sent to our respective emails for us to have them probably booked or checked in our different calendars. That would be helpful, at least to help us stay on track and maybe beat the respective plans that we have for the session. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Fantastic. Admin, please take note of that. Please let's send these links to them as a calendar invite via email. Thank you. All right. Solomon?
Yeah, just going to lower my hand, sorry.
Okay. Ronald.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just confirm that you can hear me well.
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you so much, Martin and everyone. Good evening. This is Ronald from Uganda. Now, my question is goes back to number of experience or working experience. So my question, Martin, is that if someone graduated with a diploma, after graduating diploma, been working and sometimes starting bachelor's degree, and then you graduate of recent bachelor's degree. So do that experience of the diploma level considered, or they will consider when you graduated with the bachelor's degree? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is what I want to say. First things first is for diploma, a national diploma is a high degree. It's not a secondary school degree, right? An HND, I think I currently know a scholar who was selected for the Chevening scholarship who has an HND, a higher national diploma, not necessarily a BSc. And this person is even in my set, right? So to answer your question, whether you have a diploma or not, right? Whether I have a diploma or not, as long as you have a higher degree and you've been certified and you graduated from a university or a higher body of learning, that's important. So let's, for example, say you graduated with your diploma in 2019, and then that counts that you already have a higher level degree. And number two, now you didn't have a BSc maybe 2 years after, maybe 2022. That also counts as well. So your highest degree, the one you want to put with your highest degree, which is your BSc, should then be maybe what you want to use, depending on what you decide to use. If you're using your highest degree of experience and you want to go for a master's, then please focus on your getting it clear that, for example, I have a diploma as part of my education history, but I also have a BSc as part of my education history, and my BSc has been for the last 2 years. That's also what you need to emphasize, right? From the last date of your BSc to what you're currently trying to pursue, you should at least have 2 years. But because you already done diploma before, so you already have like maybe 1 year of work experience, so that can count. So you can count both of them together as 2 years of work experience or 3 years of work experience, right? So that does not put you in a negative light. Like I said, it's all about how you build your profile and how you narrate your profile. But the most important thing with a diploma is that if you just have a diploma, you don't have a BSc, the question is, will a school, a university admit you with a BSc? That's what you need to think about. Your school admission is one thing you want to think about, right? If your university would accept you with a BSc or with a diploma, then you don't have a problem, right? Now, when it comes to
just to make it clear,
yeah,
sorry, Martin.
yeah,
I have both. I graduated a diploma in 2018,
okay,
and then I've graduated with a BS last year.
okay, last year. So yeah, you can properly put your years together. 2018 to last year, you already have work experience, right? And then you put your higher degree as well. So yeah, that should not count against you. That should not count against you, actually. Okay. Let me try and read the comments now in terms of questions. Ola asked a question. She said, should I use my last essays from the last edition? It's very important that you show how you've grown in the last 1 year since you applied and you got to the interview stage. So you might need to rework, you have to rethink. Are you still going to solve the same problems? Are you still going for the same courses, right? What has changed in terms of your accomplishments? If it's the same, then you have to be worried for yourself because it means that you're not growing, right? What have you done in the last 6 months since you didn't make it for the Chevening? You have to think about this, right, in your new essay. So your new essay can have elements of your old essay, but it shouldn't be the same. And the most important part is the story that you're telling. How is it connected to the profile that you're putting forth, or the course that you're trying to study, right? That's for your essay. Then if you have 4 to 5 years work experience, it does not count against you in the negative light at all. I mean, if you have 4 years of experience, 5, 6 years, 7 years, it can be assumed that you are a seasoned expert, right? That's important. Now, I'm seeing questions in the chat box first, but before I respond to them, I'm going to respond to someone who asked about assignments. The person is like, the assignments, should I submit them on Monday or should I submit them when, right? Your assignment, for example, when we ask you to build like an application tracker or do career reflection on Wednesday, this is a schedule we intend to give to you so that you can actually put them in your schedule. Maybe you have full-time job. So you have to plan and say, okay, this assignment I'll work on, let's say in 2 hours. I'll work on this assignment every day. Monday, I'll work 2 hours on my Chevening application. I'll do on Tuesday career reflection for 30 minutes or an hour. So this is for you to plan yourself. What we're expecting you to do with this schedule that we've given you is that you're able to plan yourself, right? That's important, okay? Plan yourself with the schedule, plan yourself around delivering your assignments on time and working on them with proper thought. And someone who asks about emails, getting emails with invites, that would definitely be done for you, right? And the team has been working tirelessly in the last 3-4 days to ensure that this session was put together for you on such short notice, right? So please take note of that. Anna, you can ask your question. Anna.
Yeah, thank you very much. I already put it in the chat box, but just to add, I just wanted clarifications on the live review session. Like, are you going to be reviewing our applications one by one? I don't know how that's going to be. Can just
Okay.
share on that.
So for the live review sessions, you could even find on our YouTube channel. I don't know if we shared like live reviews on YouTube. I don't think so. You could find on our YouTube channel some live review sessions. So this is what we normally do in live review session. We come online like this. And for example, I assume a profile. I can say I'm a financial modeling analyst who is trying to apply to University of King's College London. And I'm trying to apply for maybe a BSc or an MSc in psychology, right? I will write an essay on the spot, right? With you on the call, right? We will write an essay together as a team. And then we'll call on people who are bold enough to want to share their essay drafts, right? And then are open to reviewing their essay live. So we'll look through your essay live on the call and put together things that are scattered or that are out of place. But that's like the public review sessions that we have together as a cohort. But the private review sessions, you'll be asked to actually send your essays beforehand to a particular email. These essays will be given to different Chevening scholars. They will put comments in your essays, what you need to edit, right? And then send it back to you. That's what we'll do when it comes to essay reviews. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's amazing. Thank you.
All right, great. So I think that's all the question we'll take for now, guys, for the sake of time. Put all your questions for afterwards. I need to bring up someone. Abdurrahman, we can't take any more questions. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we have a limited time, so don't feel bad. I would take your questions afterward as we go forward, okay? Now we're going to please join me as we make welcome Mr. Damilare Ojo for his session on profiling. Dami, over to you.
Thank you very much, Martins, and thank you everyone for having me this evening. It's a great privilege and opportunity to be having this session right now. Yeah, just to start with, I've tried to respond to some questions on the chat box. And I think one of the major questions coming up is whether internship counts, whether voluntary internship or voluntary work experience also counts. Yes, all of those things count, and you don't have to have finished your higher education, maybe BSc, a bachelor's degree or something for you to start counting your work experience. So anything you did, even your internship during your school, some people, maybe it is industrial training, they call it IT, whatever it is called, all of those things, you can bring them together as far as, for those who might be applying for the first time, and, for those who might have applied before, they would know that there is a box, during the application process where you input your different work experiences, and then the number of hours, that you worked on them. So all of those things will accumulate together, and the system has a way that it would calculate everything and sum them up to be sure that it is up to 2 years. So your 2 years don't have to be, a straight 2 years, like January 2023 to December 2025, or to December 2024, that kind of thing. It doesn't have to be a straight 2 years. It can be, I did an internship in 2015, and maybe that was 6 months. And then later on in 2017, I did another thing for 1 year. Later on in 2020, I did something else for 6 months, that kind of thing. So just to first clarify that, and as we move on to talking about profiling, planning your career, your course, and school selection. And I think this is one of the most important things that we need to take note of when applying, as you prepare to apply for the Chevening scholarship. Some questions are on the screen already, and these are questions that I invite all of us to reflect on. The first question I would like to, sort of ask you, which is like a very typical question for maybe, when you apply for a job, when you have casual conversations and all of that, is to say, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years? That, I'm just inviting you to reflect on that. I'm not necessarily asking you to answer that right now or to give me an answer. I don't actually need the answer, at least not now. But it's just to say we need to start reflecting on that. And, your past, as far as Chevening is concerned, your past is as important as your future. Your future is very, very crucial. I mean, in terms of the career plan that you have for yourself. But again, you also need to reflect on it in the light of your past or your present. What are you currently doing? What course do you want to do? And how does that help you to achieve what you want to achieve in the future? Those things have to be aligned. Your present, or let's say your past experience, your current experience, what you want to study for your master's degree, or what you hope to study, and then how does that help you to achieve what you want to achieve in the future? All of those things, you need to find a way to sync them. I can see a hand up, but I'm not sure if that is a current one, but there will be time for Q&A when we are done with this part of the session as well. So yeah. Now, your career goals, like I said, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Of course, you don't have to have something for each of those years, but it's just to say medium term, short term, medium term, and long term. Where do you see yourself? That's a question that we all get asked almost every now and then, especially for those who might have applied for different jobs, But right now, what is more important is to say that's your career goal. Is it SMART, right? And when we say SMART here, I'm sure many of us already know what SMART stands for. We say specific, measurable, actionable. What's the R again now? T is, timeliness, right? So is it SMART? Can you achieve it? Is it specific? Specific in the sense that you shouldn't be someone that is here and there at the same time. Yes, reliable, thank you, or realistic. You shouldn't be someone that is here and there at the same time, right? You should be seen as someone who has a focus. For instance, I can say my end goal, and for me, it is very, specific to say, if anybody asks me, what do you want to do long term? I see myself as the future governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. That is where I see myself in the future, and that is the story I've been selling. That's the story I've sold. I mean, you don't have to be me. You don't have to have the same goal as myself. All of us can have the same goal. That is the truth. But the point is, you should have something that you say, yes, this is what I want to do in the future. Now, the next thing is, how does that goal or your career plan, how does it, okay, let me segregate the two now. So goal is, like, this is what you want to achieve. The plan is how, right? How do you want to achieve it? So I'm just trying to segregate, but as I'm talking, I might be using the two interchangeably, but they don't actually mean the same thing, right? So the goal is, yes, this is a specific thing I want to be. I want to be a renowned journalist. I want to be the chief medical, doctor for maybe Nigeria or for West Africa or whatever, whatever term they use to describe that kind of thing. So you have something specific that you are aiming to become, or maybe you want to become the Minister of Health in your country. I see people from other African countries, and that's a very good thing to see that this camp or this program is ministering to a lot of people in different parts of Africa and across the world. So it is a very good thing to see, right? So in your own country, what problem does that's your goal, or that's your career goal, what problem is it trying to address, right? So there has to be a case of, I want to become this because of this, because of X, Y, Z. So for instance, this is not the time for me to, there will still be time for us to do live demonstrations as we go on, as Martins has highlighted earlier in the coming weeks. But just to give an example, if I say my goal is to become ultimately to become the governor of Nigeria's central bank, what problem am I trying to achieve? I mean, what am I trying to solve rather? What problem do I think my becoming the CBN governor would address, right? That is what you need to start thinking about. So your own goal. So for my own example now, one of the things that I know is that, if anybody is following news, following monetary development or macroeconomic development in Nigeria, you know that we've got a lot of policies wrong, and a lot of Nigerians are in poverty just because of wrong policy decisions from the federal government. In this instance now, from the Monetary Policy Authority, right? So I'm saying, yes, we've thrown a lot of Nigerians, or a lot of Nigerians can't afford even 1 square meal a day now, just because of wrong policy that have been made. But if I become the CBN governor, I would be able to, address some of those. I would have the opportunity to address some of those policy, that have been either miscommunicated. Sometimes it's not even about the policy being wrong. It's about the communication of the policy, right? You have to have a problem. That's the point I'm trying to say, that you want to solve with your goal, right? So your career goal should be tied to a particular problem. That is one of the things that a lot of people get wrong. Yes, you want to become this. Why exactly do you want to become that? And how does, what you are doing currently, or what you hope to do after your master's degrees, how do those things help you? How would they help you to achieve that goal that you want to achieve? So what resources do you need to achieve that goal that you want to achieve? Is it a case of you need to start building networks? For your own specific field, it might be a thing of building network that would help you achieve that goal. For some fields, it might be a case of I need to get experience in X, Y, Z, or in different places. And to get those experiences, one of the things I've seen that they require is an MSc. They require a master's degree. I'm already saying this, my goal is achieving is, I hope to be able to address this particular problem with my goal. And now I need an MS. One of the criteria to get to those, networks that I need to get to is to obtain an MSc, a relevant MSc, to be able to get to that goal eventually. So that shows that, yes, you know what you want. You know what it takes to get to where you want to get to. And that is why you are applying to Chevening at this time, to help you in a way to get the materials, the resources that you need to get to where you want to get to eventually. Right. And then next thing is, what is the UK government doing in your country that is relevant to your goal, right? Typically, the UK government is doing a lot of things at the same time in different countries, but you need to be able to identify what they are doing that is relevant to your own field, that is relevant to the problem that you want to address, that is relevant to your own career goal, right? So don't look at these things as different things. They all, have a way of coming together, and your ability to demonstrate that you are able to link all of these things, your career goal, to a particular problem, to the resources that you need, to why an MSc is important to that goal, and to link that your goal as well to what the UK government is currently doing that is relevant to your own field. Your ability to be able to link all of these things together is one of the things that can stand you out as a Chevening, applicant, that can give you a higher chance of getting selected for the Chevening scholarship eventually. Now, so this shows that you need to do a lot of research, and Martins emphasized the fact that this bootcamp as well is very intensive. Many of us have not, maybe in the last 1 week, for instance, many of us haven't even gotten maybe 5 hours of sleep a day. That's the truth, right? I know for some of you as well, you are doing a lot of things that, might already be intense, but to get the Chevening scholarship, the point is you need to do a lot. You need to give a lot of, show a lot of effort, show that, yes, I've done my research, and here we are talking about your career, your course, and school selection. So just to sort of summarize what I've said so far with regards to planning your career, remember, the first question I asked is, where do you see yourself in the short term, the medium term, and the long term? So say like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Of course, in your essay, you don't have to list it down like that, 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But when you do these reflections, they help you to also gather your points together and to be able to bring them together in a way that would sell you as a very good candidate for the Chevening scholarship, right? So that is like your starting point when you are thinking about your career plan or writing your career plan essay as far as the Chevening scholarship is concerned. And then you need to also, I said, reflect on your past, past experiences. Maybe you've done an internship in the past, or you are currently doing an internship, you are currently doing a voluntary work, you are, in fact, Chevening likes voluntary work. The UK, there are a lot of volunteering works or opportunities in the someone's mic is on. What's that? Okay, so there are a lot of volunteering work that you can do even when you get, or if eventually, I know at least a lot of you, if not all of you, are praying that all of you would get this Chevening scholarship eventually, but at least those of you who would get it eventually. There are a lot of volunteering opportunities that are available for you in the UK. So my point is that the UK government, or anything UK, they like volunteering a lot. If you've seen a lot of the posts from the Chevening FCDO as well, they promote volunteers. They even give certificates to those, they reward volunteering to be able to, to encourage people to do volunteering work. So point is that volunteering work that you've done also counts as part of your work experience. What is important is you're able to demonstrate that, yes, what you've done is relevant at least to where you are, and your master's is relevant to where you want to get to. It's even more interesting to see that what you've done in the past is relevant to what you are currently doing, and it's relevant to what you want to do in your master's degree and in your career, in your future career plan, right? So all of those things, link them to the problem. There has to be a problem, Martins also emphasized the fact that leadership, Chevening is very focused on leadership, networking, leadership, solving problems, all of those things. So there has to be a problem you are trying to solve in your home country with your future career plan, and then identify the resources that you need to achieve that your career plan, and be able to highlight them and say, yes, these are the things that I need. It could be human resource, you know, in terms of networking. It could be materials, it could be education. You can say it could be a fact that the PhD is relevant for what you want to do. So master's is the next thing for you to get to PhD, instead of doing a PhD directly, you know, that kind of thing. Just to say, yes, there's a roadmap. You've identified the roadmap to, you know, where you want to get to. And you've also be able to demonstrate that, yes, a master's degree is the next thing for you to do to get to where you want to get to. I'm trying to make.
I muted everyone, so you can unmute yourself now, Dami.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. So then I mentioned, try to link it to what the UK government is doing in your home country. Now, your course and your school, you know, just to address some points on that, because one of the essays you are going to write is on trying to justify why you want to study in the UK, you know, and in that essay, Chevening will typically say that you should touch on the schools that you want to apply to and the courses that you want to apply to in those schools. What else? Yeah, that's typically what they would like you to highlight in that particular, you know, part of the essay. So you need to think about, you know, your 4 essays. I'm sure, I mean, I suppose many of you already know, if not all of you, that you are going to write 4 essays, right? One on leadership, one on networking, one on studying in the UK, and the last one is on your career plan. You need to bear in mind that all those 4 essays should sort of, you know, there should be something that is reflective in all of them, so that you are not looking at each essay in silos. You're not looking at them as something that is independent, right? Let there be a logical flow to those 4 essays, and there should be at least one common theme to all those, you know, in all those 4 essays. You know, which is why we are saying the first bullet point here is saying your career course should reflect what you are currently doing, your career plan, or both, right? Now, this is the point here. For some people, what they are currently doing is not necessarily what they want to do in the future, right? Let me give an instance. Maybe you are currently, you find yourself like you are currently I'm trying to just think of something now. Maybe you are currently teaching, right? And teaching is not necessarily your passion. It could be that is what you could find to do. That is what you could lay your hands upon to do. But that is not necessarily what you want to do in the future. It can even be something of a passion to you, but it is just a passion of now, maybe not for the future, right? You know, so it means what you're currently doing is not necessarily what you want to do in the future. But I mean, Chevening doesn't necessarily care about that, really. What they care about is, at least in that thing that you've done, you're able to demonstrate how you've used leadership skills to improve a particular situation. That is what they are after, right? You've identified a problem from your experience that you've been able to address. And then you are saying, yes, this is where I want to get to. I need a master's to be able to, a master's in, maybe what you want to do is you want to become a journalist, but you are currently teaching. So you want to say, this master's is like the bridge between where I am currently and where I want to get to, right? It is not necessarily where you want to be that you are currently at, but you know where you want to get to, and then you are saying, this master's is going to help me to get to where I eventually want to get to. I hope you get the point I'm trying to make. So underlying, you know, point is that what you are currently doing is not, it doesn't have to be that is what you want to be. That's one of the things that a lot of people get wrong. They think that, oh, because, you know, I'm applying for Chevening, whatever I apply for has to be what I'm currently doing. I have to apply for a master's degree in what I'm currently doing. No, Chevening doesn't necessarily care about that. It could be that, yeah, this is what you found yourself to do, to your hands to do, but what you should be able to, you know, to identify is a problem that you've solved from your experience so far, or from your experiences so far, and okay, this is where I want to get to. This is why this master's degree is relevant for where I want to get to. So I say, see it as a kind of a bridge between where you are and what you plan to be, right? And then, you know, you are going to have three choices of schools and courses. Of course, three choices of schools, and in those schools, in each of those schools, you can choose, you know, three different courses. But it could also be that you have a singular school that you've applied to, and you've decided to select three different courses in the same school. So you can have it in different ways. This could be, you know, you have one singular school that you want to apply to for whatever reason. I mean, it's your story. It's you that know why you want to apply to a particular school, and you have to justify that. And then you have three different courses in that particular school, or you can have two schools. Maybe one school, you have two different courses in a particular school, and then you have another choice of course in another school. Or you could have three choices of schools, and then you have one course that you're looking to study in each of the three schools. Now, what is important is that those three courses, whichever way you've, you know, distribute them, will be in the same school or in two different schools or in three different schools. Those three courses should be similar as much as possible. You know, the thing is, if you say you want to become this particular person in the future, there can be different ways of getting to where you want to be, right? It's possible that there are different ways of getting to where you want to be. But it can be that there are two diverse roads to, you know, in terms of what you want to study to get to where you want to be eventually. You know, I'll give you an instance. I can't say I want to be a CBN governor, right? And then I say my three choices of courses. One is MSc in economics. Another one is MSc in finance. And the third one is MSc in what now? Maybe in psychology, occupational psychology. You know, how does that relate to where I want to get to? If you get the point. So I can choose economics. Economics is related to, you know, being CBA governor. I can choose finance, is related to being CBN governor. I can choose financial econometrics, is related to being CBN governor, you know. So if a particular school has those three courses, you know, I can decide to choose that particular school and apply to those three courses in the same school. As far as you are sure that, yes, the school permits you to apply to different courses, and a lot of schools actually, you know, allow you to apply for different courses within the same school. So if that is the case, then you are good to go. But don't choose your first course is economics, your second choice is finance, and your third choice is occupational psychology. I mean, that is like off the point, you know, from what you want to be. So you have to think about that as well. And like I said, it doesn't matter whether you choose the same school and you choose three different courses, or you choose three different courses in different schools, but it's just good to have different choices, like as much as possible, maybe apply to three different schools and choose maybe the same course or very related course. So it could be finance in one course. I mean, I'm using, this is like familiarity bias now. I'm using my familiar territory, finance and economics to as an example, right? Please just bear with me. But I think the underlying point is clear to everyone that, you know, have related courses in different schools. It's just good to have your courses in different schools. Yeah. So another point is that you need to do a lot of research, right? And there are a lot of resources available to you online. For instance, there's the Chevening Resource Hub. You have your schools, and you have your you know, each school would also have segments for each department that gives you a sort of rundown about the courses or the course that you are prospecting, you know, into, and then you can look at the details. You need to do a lot of research, right? So looking at your course and your school, how should you go about that? You have your career plan. You have something in mind that you want to become, right? And then you need to be able to demonstrate that you've done your research into those schools and into the courses. For instance, a lot of schools, if not all, it is, you have details of courses or modules publicly available to you that you can look into and see the details of those modules to say, how does this module address the problem, one, that I've identified? Remember, we said you need to be able to identify a problem that you want to solve. Is there any part of the module that helps you solve that problem? It's not necessarily that the module addresses the problem. It can give you a tool. So say, for instance, you are somebody interested in investigative journalism, right? So let me go to another territory, investigative journalism, and let me leave economics for some time. So you want to look at what are the skills you need. Remember, we spoke about resources earlier. Resources, part of the resources are, your skills, your capabilities. What are the skills that you need? Maybe you need a skill in photojournalism. I'm just making up an example. Maybe you need a skill in photojournalism, that kind of thing, right? And then you have a list of schools that you are prospecting to. You should be able to identify those schools that have photojournalism as part of their modules, so that you are telling Chevening in your essay that one of the skills that I need to get to where I want to get to is photojournalism. And the University of Liverpool, I'm not saying they necessarily do, I'm just giving an example. One of the modules in the MSc investigative journalism, whatever they call it, in the University of Liverpool is photojournalism. And this would enable me to solve the problem XYZ that I've identified. You see, there's a link that you are trying to create from your leadership to your career to your choice of schools, right? So you are saying, yes, I've identified a problem. These are the skills that I need. These are the resources that I need to solve those problems. And I've looked at the schools that offer me the opportunity of getting those skills or those knowledge or those know-how, technical know-how, to be able to address those problems. So you need to be able to create a link that shows that, yes, this person has done some research, has done a lot of research and identified what is necessary to get to where they want to get to. So same thing applies to all the courses that you want to choose, the schools. Try to find a link. You can even be that you are identifying a particular lecturer that has a research area that is related to what you want to do. So for instance, for me, one of the stories I gave was, when I was profiling schools, I was intentional about looking for schools that are intensive on research, because one of the stories I gave in my essay was that I know to get to where I want to get to eventually, which I've already told you, to become CBN governor, right? I need a lot of skills in research. I need to be able to research the macroeconomy more than I am currently doing. Before applying for Chevening, I actually had about 4 years of work experience. So I think that also addresses the question of someone who asked earlier whether 4 years or 5 years, is an advantage or a disadvantage. So I actually had over 4 years of work experience before I came to do my master's degree now. So I was able to say that, yes, I've been doing investment research for a long time, but I need more research that, I need to get more technical research background from the UK, which is like a finance hub. The UK globally is known, particularly London, right? The capital of England is known as more or less a global finance hub. So you are telling a story of, yes, this is why I want to come to the UK, because I know that it is relevant for what I want to become. It could be something related to journalism as well. And then you are bringing stories around, yes, UK is known to be, you identify maybe some organizations that are known to be leading, in journalism or leading in public health, in leading in whatever you want to be. And then you are saying, yes, I identified these schools that are in the Russell group. So there's a group that they call Russell group in the UK. There are schools that that are very intensive when it comes to research. They are research intensive, right? So I'm saying, yes, I need research to get to where I want to get to. And I've identified schools that focus on a lot of research, that are very research intensive in their teaching, right? In their teaching in the MSc program. And from those schools, I've shortlisted these 3 schools, one of which is, or at that time was, the University of Liverpool. And I'm saying, even within the University of Liverpool, I've researched into the departments, the economics department, and I've seen lecturers, academia that are actually focused on monetary policy or macro monetary research, right? Which is my own area of interest, macro monetary research. And I've said yes, for so reason, I gave the names of two. I think I gave name of 2 of the professors, and I highlighted what they've done in the past, what their research focuses on, and how their research, how me interacting with them by coming here, interacting with them would enhance my ability, would also help me to get to where I want to get to. So you see, you should be able to identify, those schools, identify, if possible, specific lecturers who are doing stuffs that are related to your area of interest, and demonstrate to Chevening or the panelists that are going to mark your essay, or that are going to interview you for those, when you get to the interview stage, that yes, I've done my research. This is why I want to go to this particular schools. This is why I want to study this particular courses. And also, you need to identify, why do you want to go to those cities as well. It could be a case of you are someone that likes music. I like music. I play the piano. So I like music, classical music, and the UK is, one of the leading countries as far as classical music is concerned. Even this afternoon, before this program started, I attended a 40-minute organ recital for those who might, know a bit of piano, organ, and all of that, classical music. So I attended one, and that is something that's one of the things that I mentioned when I was also writing my essays, because Liverpool is known as the city of music, right? So I was also able to mention that, like, this is why I'm interested in this city. The same thing applies to the other cities that I've chosen, but more importantly, your first choice, you have to emphasize a lot on your first choice, right, of school, why you are choosing that school, why you are choosing that particular course, and why you are choosing that particular city. It shows them that, yes, you know what you are after, you know what you want to do, and you've identified what you need to do to get to where you want to do. I've spoken a lot about this particular bullet points, but it is very important because it shows that, yes, you've done a lot of research, you've done a lot of reflection, you know what you want to do, you know how would you get to where you want to get to, and those are the things you'll be detailing in your essay. And then I have like a caution or note here to say, you don't have to have applied to those schools, before you apply to Chevening. I think that's one of the questions I get asked a lot. And I'm sure a lot of people get asked a lot of that. Do you need to have applied or gotten admission to those schools before you apply for Chevening? No, you don't have to have applied to those schools before applying for Chevening. You can apply for Chevening before applying to those schools. However, remember, you have to tell Chevening or demonstrate to Chevening that you've researched those schools, you've researched those cities, So while you don't have to have applied to those schools, you need to have done your research before you apply to Chevening to show that, yes, this is why I want this school, this is why I want, this course and this city, right? So that is very important to bear in mind. Because again, some schools might have specific requirements that you might not necessarily want to go into. Like, for instance, some schools in the UK still require IELTS. That's for those who might not know, the English proficiency test, right? Some schools, Chevening doesn't require that, just to be clear, but some schools that you apply to would require that. And if you are not someone that is a fan of those kind of tests, then you know that you wouldn't apply to that kind of to such schools. I mean, there are a lot of schools that give you a waiver. So why should you apply to that school if you are not a fan? But if you are really keen on that particular school, then that shouldn't turn you off, right? That shouldn't be a reason for you not to apply to. Some schools also require GRE or GMAT, and you might also want to check and be sure that, yeah, either you would have the time to write it, or if you're not a fan of those kind of exams again, then you can, take off that school out of your list. Just to say, yes, you need to have done some research into those schools before you apply to Chevening, but you don't have to have applied to those schools. But you can also do both of them concurrently if you have the time. But I mean, we would typically just advise that right now, focus on Chevening. Yes, do your research into those schools, but you don't necessarily apply to those schools right now. Just be sure that yes, you check their eligibility criteria for those schools as well, and say that yes, you can meet those eligibility criteria, and then you can write your Chevening essays, complete your Chevening application before you then face in applying to those schools at that time. So what else now? Yeah, I think those are the points that I would just mention in terms of planning your career, course, and school selection. But again, as I wrap up to give room for questions and answers, I will just emphasize again that don't look at any of those 4 essays in isolation. Look at them as one singular essay, even though they have different sections, right, for each of them. But look at them as a singular essay, and you have to think about them as a flow, a continuation, right? To say from your leadership, there has to be a link to your networking, there has to be a link to your study in the UK essay, and there has to be a link from there also to your career plan, so that you have at least one common theme, right? One common story that is reflecting in each of those essays. That is one of the things that can enhance your chances of getting the Chevening essays. I think there are already some. So, Martins, that's all I would say for now. But I think there are just some questions in the Q&A and some answer stuff. Martins, how would you like us to go about the Q&A?
Thank you very much, Dami, for that. That was a lot, right? So I think maybe at this time, right, one of the things that would make sense is we'll take a few questions, maybe 5, right? We know that these questions will start to come up. They want to get everything answered right now, even though the answers to most of the question will come as we proceed. So let's take maybe 5 quick questions, and then let's try and check the chat box if there are any questions there. And then let's see if we can do a quick demonstration before we close the session. So if you have questions, quickly raise your hand. We'll take 5 persons, first 5 persons.
Yeah, if you permit me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you permit me, Martins. So
Yeah.
I can see a question already in the chat box. While we'll take those who raise their hands about whether can you apply to a 4th school? Yes, I mean, someone told me, my mentor told me recently that it is better to have options and not need them than to need options and not have them, right? So that's to say, if you apply to 10 schools and you get admission in all of them, all well and good, right? It's better to have admissions in all of them than to apply to only 2 or only 3 and not be able to get admission in any of them at all. So yeah, having a 4th school or a 5th school does no harm. It doesn't do any harm to you. Because sometimes one of the challenges people have is when they cross the interview stage, they're not able to even get admission in any of the 3 schools that they've applied to, and then they are stuck at that point. Because if you don't have an admission, you can't, there's no school that, I mean, they can't give you any scholarship at that time. So if you have a 4th school at the application, I mean, at the interview stage, I think, they can ask you they would ask you if you've gotten admission, and then they would also ask you whether you want to change your choice of school. I think you have up to that point to change your choices of schools. Yeah. So yeah, you can go ahead and apply to as many schools as you have the time to.
Okay. Let's quickly take Yusuf. Yusuf.
Okay. Thank you very, very much for this wonderful session. So I was paying keen attention when you were actually talking about the relationship between all the courses you want to study in the universities that you are applying for. So, and then as somebody that graduated from economics department, and I have BSc in economics, and then my work experience is kind of related to public health because I do data science for public health a lot. That's for over 2 years now. And then during the draft essay I was actually putting down, I tried to put in a kind of a connection between development economics, particularly modules that have to do with human capital development, which is investment in health and education. So two of my options are actually to study MSc in development economics in two universities, while the third university is actually to study probably maybe MSc in public health. So I wanted to know, does that connection kind of go through, because the three universities are not entirely economics. Two are economics and one is public health. But professionally, I do public health, and then I try to relate it to human capital concepts in development economics. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Martins, should we take them as we go, or should we take all of them together?
You can respond to that one quickly.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That there are some questions that are necessarily already on the FAQ sections of the website that we would not respond to, guys. Like, this time is for questions that are really, really important, no questions that you can find the answers. For example, does conditional admission passes, are there requirements for reference letters? These are questions that we would get to as we progress. So maybe some questions you have to be patient with, guys, right? As we make and progress with these sessions, and some questions you find on the FAQ section of the Chevening website, right? So please, Dami, please respond to that question.
Thank you very much. That's a very brilliant question, Yusuf. I would say, I'm not shifting. I'm not part of obviously, I'm not part of the selection criteria, but from experience, I would say it's better to, experience from friends now and colleagues, it's better to have a particular focus, right? It's better all of them are either in public health or data science or economics. It will take a lot of convincing to show somebody that you really know what you want to do. If you say you've applied to economics, development economics in one school, and you've applied to public health in another school, it will take more than 500 words of convincing, I think, to be able to convince them that this person really knows what they want to do in the future, right? So I would say it's better to just streamline it to one, development economics or public health, rather than having a mix of the two. That's what I think. But again, that's what I just think, right? I think it's a long shot. There are two different fields entirely. So that's what I would say. I don't know if Martins has anything to add to that.
Okay, I think this is one thing I wanted to come to, right? I wanted to come to demonstrating your profile and actually walking through that. If someone has experience in development economics, maybe has been working like Dami, maybe in the financial market, and he wants to then go on to do data science in fintech, he has to tell a singular story. There has to be some specificity in his direction, because you can't be everywhere at the same time, right? There has to be some clarity or some connection with what you want to do. So that's why we are saying, use this week, guys, to do some reflection, right, on what the connection is going to be. For example, in his case, data science. My school does MSc in data science that has to do with public health, like public health for data science and all of that kind of stuff, right? Now, there are schools that do what you want to do. If it's data science in healthcare you want to do, or just data science like algorithms and maybe automation processes for all of those advanced things, right? There has to be some research on your part in terms of so you have to make a decision. You have to take a stand in that regard. So I think I'll come back to this. Let's quickly take maybe one more hand that's raised. Nancy, Harriet, your hand is raised.
Hi, so I want to thank you so much for the informative session. I have a question now. I know that the premise for doing these essays is that you should show, you don't tell, basically. So I wanted to ask if, for instance, when you're doing your essays and you've explained, for instance, that you have an NGO or you have this thing that you set up to show your leadership and to even show the things that you're doing and to even show that once you're done with your schooling in the UK, this is what you'll come back to do in terms of your long-term career aspirations. Do you include, for instance, if you have a website for that NGO, for whatever initiative that you have in your essay, just so that you can show them that it exists? You are not just telling a story.
Okay. Dami, do you want to answer that?
I mean, I think if you can show proofs, why not? You can go ahead. It doesn't do any harm, to be sincere. I think they have one of the boxes to do I mean, during the application processes, if you have any additional links, or I think there is a box like that, like you can include your profile link, your LinkedIn profile link, your other links, you know, that you want to. But you can also just put, you know, link. So you've written, maybe let me create a sentence. Just, I have an NGO called Nancy Incorporated. So in that Nancy Incorporated, you just put an hyperlink. You know, when you submit the essay, no, do we submit essay as PDF? I think it's
You submit
in
on
a
the
box.
portal. You
You
submit on
put
the
submit on
portal.
the
There's no
portal,
PDF.
yeah. So you can't. I'm
You
not sure
can't
you
get
can
a link.
include
You can't get a
a
link.
hyperlink. You can't. So that makes it a bit difficult unless you want to copy the entire link and then, but that might already eat up part of your 500 words.
But to respond to that, by showing and not telling, they are actually saying, give us clear examples, demonstrate with proof, right? Give us something that is standard, like a standard rate of achievement. Demonstrate what you've done, right? With clear examples. Don't define leadership, for instance. Don't define influence. Don't be saying, oh, when I was a boy, I was a kid. Now, now I am a man. No, don't be defining things. You want to be demonstrating things, so clear examples. I think we're going to do all of these things when we come to essays. So guys, you might be tempted to want to jump on the Chevening essays and start writing away. But we are trying to draw you back a bit with this session to say, do some reflection first before you start putting pen to paper. It usually helps, right? I do not see any harm in spending this week reflecting on the schools, going down into the courses, going down through the FAQs. In short, go to the Chevening website, go and check the blogs they wrote, like some of the common mistakes that people make in their Chevening application. Go and read up what are the mistakes they make in their essays, what are the mistakes they make in their interviews, and take note of these mistakes so that you don't repeat the same mistakes. Because, I mean, we repeat history. I keep doing the same thing over and over and over. Like, let's not be asking or be doing things that are showing that we have not really done clear work, right? That's the reason we're having these sessions. And the reason we're taking these most questions is because, I mean, this is why we're here, right? But please also use this time to ask questions that are very, very important. So Nancy, you might not be able to put a link. And the Chevening Scholarship is not for people who have NGOs or who are founders of NGOs alone, right? It's for anyone. You don't have to be a founder of anything, right? You can be an employer somewhere, an employee somewhere, a volunteer somewhere, and still get the scholarship. That's very important. Don't go and be thinking you want to go and start Chevening and Sons or somewhere and Sisters. So before you can get the Chevening scholarship, that's not how it works. So let's take someone else. Samuel.
Okay, just a second, Martin. Just for clarification, you spoke about submission of assignments. I just wanted to request, because you said the schedule is for us to plan ourselves. What about those people who manage to do the assignments maybe on a Monday? Could we have the submission link earlier so that we just submit and we can go on with the work that we are doing on the side?
Oh, fantastic. So if you get things done on time, that's fantastic. A link will be shared with you, like a form link will be shared with you by the admin team. So just watch out for your WhatsApp group and all of those things we put there. So you can submit earlier than Friday. You don't have to wait till Friday to submit, right? But we're giving this time because I believe in being realistic. I don't like pretending that we're not robots, right? So realistic things are more important to me. So I believe that people might have conflicting priorities, people might have other things. So that's why we put it like Friday. So those of you who might not have the time from Monday to Thursday can then catch up. Some of you are motivated by deadlines. When they give you deadlines, that's when you're able to work. Some of you, when you have until November to apply for this Chevening, is by October end, you start to write your essays in 1 week. I want us to review. It's not going to work. So please think about that when you're doing your stuff. Plan yourself ahead of time. It's important. Let's take someone else now quickly. Samuel.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. I am Conte Samuel Active from Sierra Leone, Freetown, to be specific. So I have a background in economics. I studied the Bachelor of Science degree in economics, but unfortunately, the institution never had a honors program. So we all graduated with a general degree. So I had Division 1 in economics. And then after that, I went straight to the corporate world. I started my career as a HR professional. So I started as a HR assistant, later I was promoted to HR officer, I later changed job to another organization. So basically I've spent 5 years, 2 months now as a HR professional. And I've also done many other certification programs on human resource management. And then I'm planning to apply to 3 different schools for an MSc or an MA in human resource management. So I was just thinking, with my bachelor's degree being economics, BSc economics, and not an honors degree, basically a general degree division 1, and then with over 5 years of experience as a HR professional. So I was just thinking if that would be possible, well, basically for my degree, not being an honors degree, and also from economics to human resource management, wanting to do MSc and MA in human resource management. So basically, this is my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I think to respond to this, right, I will let Dami speak, but I just wanted to respond to one question in the chat box. In the chat box, somebody wrote, Chevening does not allow for research schools, right? So when Dami was speaking and mentioning research, right, it doesn't mean that he applied for an MS, MRES. There are 2 different degrees. There's MSc and there's MRS, right? MRS degree is a Master's of Research. MSc is Master's of Science. These are 2 different degrees, right? MRS is not funded by Chevening based on what is on the website, right? MSc is what is funded. So if you want to do an MSc, a Master of Science that requires some dissertation, maybe some field work, depending on what you find there. So what I'm saying is there must be an MSc course, or there might be an MSc course that meets what you are looking for. But if the courses or the schools that you're looking for, right, offer these things, but Chevening is not funding, maybe you want to do an MRS, right, MRES, then you might need to consider applying for another scholarship, right? So the Chevening might not be the best one for you. If that's what you want, that's what you want to pursue. I'm responding to Niva Abagi, right? So please put that in mind. If you can't find an MSc course that meets what you want, that's part of your plan, that's going to take you to the next phase, you might need to switch your plans and start to look for other scholarships, right? But I know that if you go to that postgrad website, there are thousands of courses, right? And one of them might be interesting for you, right? It may just take a little search. Dami, please, you can speak.
Thank you very much. So the question that Samuel asked is in 2 phases. One is the switch from economics, to human resource management. Chevening has no problem with that. I mentioned that earlier when I was talking that, where you are currently or what you've done in the past, it might not necessarily be what you want to do. But for you, it's even just a switch from your course to your work experience, and your work experience is what you want to do in the future. Chevening has absolutely no problem with that. It just demonstrates that yes, within that your 5 years plus work experience, you've achieved, so. Even whether when you were in school, it was when you had leadership experience, that's what they're after. They're not necessarily after your, so that one clears that out. That one, it doesn't matter. On the point that your course is not necessarily a degree, I think you said, I think you might want to check the equivalent of your course. Martins also mentioned there's someone in our course who does not have, or who did not have a bachelor's degree, who has a higher national diploma. That's what she has, or that's what she had before this master's program, which is funded by Chevening. So it might not necessarily, I just check the equivalence and be sure that the schools you want to also apply for would also take that's the grade that you have, or I'm not sure of what you called it now, maybe an honors certificate that you have. Just be sure that you have schools that would accept that. And for Chevening, it might not necessarily matter, for them that it's not a degree, like we said, someone in our court has an higher national diploma and the person is also learning. So yeah, you never can tell.
Okay, so I think I'm seeing questions on application fee waivers. So some schools give you application fee waivers, right? Some schools do not offer application fee waivers in the UK, right? Why some do? Chevening will not pay application fees for you. You have to pay application fees yourself. Chevening will not write IELTS for you. You have to write IELTS yourself, right? Tolu will say IELTS. Other people will say IELTS, but IELTS. Chevening will write IELTS for you, right? So you have to write it yourself. So now, schools that do not have application waiver, you have to pay it by yourself. I think I paid application fees for like 2 of my schools, right? I'm talking about schools. Like Dami was mentioning, why not have lots of options? I think I had like 7 UK schools on my application tracker. And out of these 7 UK schools, I had admission to 5 of them, right? And I had 2 other scholarships from like school-based scholarships with them. So some of them was like 70% scholarship, another was like 50% scholarship. It wasn't really full scholarship, right? But and the point is, you might need to pay application fee yourself. You can't get a waiver. But if it's application fee waiver you're looking for, you have to go into the school's website, send an email to the admissions team of the school, right? It's very important that you send a mail to the admissions team of the school. If the website says that people from Nigeria are required to write an IELTS exam or show an IELTS of like 7.5 overall, you can also send an email or check the website if there is no English waiver. So for admission-specific questions, you have to do a correspondence with the school. So do a correspondence with the school. This is the time for you to start sending emails to school, very clearly thought out emails, right? And AI cannot write it for you. You have to say, dear admin, this blah, blah, blah. You can reach out. I think the team can put up a template for that just to help, right? So that's one thing, okay? Somebody said, if I have a page where I teach people about zoonotic diseases and pet health, can this serve as a leadership quality? So like we said, it's how you are able to demonstrate or profile yourself. If you have a page that has like 1,000 reach, 2,000 reach, right? Now, the most important thing is, Chevening is not looking for people who already have been established. There are key criteria. I think one of those criteria is they say, okay, in the questions you will find on the website, they will say, okay, we are looking for future leaders or influencers. I'm not sure if I remember correctly. They said, we are looking for future leaders or influencers who will make a difference in their countries, right? Future leaders or influencers are the key. So with your page, you are an influencer, right? Are you bringing health education information to the right audience? Are they listening to you? What is your following like? What are the analytics behind your page? These are things that can be embedded in your essay, right? So I want you to think about that, Kosis or Obona, right? What other question is there? Let's take someone else. Razak, your hand has been raised for a while, so it doesn't seem like I'm being wicked. Razak, please, you can speak.
Yeah, thanks so much for this opportunity, sir. Good afternoon. And well done. Yeah, I just want to ask, like, I applied last year and I made it to interview. Like this year now, I'm now looking at strengthening my application again. But what I'm trying to consider is that the experience I have now, I mean the kind of leadership experience I've engaged in between last year and this year, and my networking examples, I found it like what I used last year is even more stronger than this year. So because I've tried to write out some of the things I've engaged in this year, so I'm not considering like, should I still make use of that last year sample, or you advise me to use the ones I just did now? And the second question I have is that I'm looking at changing my course, but there's 2 schools that are over me admission already, and I wrote to them to define my admission, of which they granted. But again, I'm looking at changing the course I applied for last year. It still be on the same this thing. It's about designing. So I applied for product design last year, but I'm looking at going deeper because I've able to cover graphics and product design by taking some online courses. So I'm looking like if I still go for that, it should not be intensive for what I'm looking at in the future. So I'm now looking at going into maybe machine learning or going into illustration, because these universities are offering courses on that also. So I'm now looking at changing the course I want to study. So I don't know the advice you want to give me. Maybe I will stick with the school that are over me admission, or looking for changing my course as I have in my mind. And if I want to change my course, do you advise me to go for the same school that offer me admission, or look for another school? Thank you.
Rami, did you get that?
Yeah, a lot of information there actually, but I think the first one is on, whether you should, if I just can summarize it, to change your essays. Is that what the first question was on?
Yes, sir.
I think I just lost it in details. Yeah. So, I mean, if your experience, if what you want to do right now is different from what you did last year, of course, your career plan might have changed. So you need to also write something that reflects that. If your leadership experience has also, I mean, within the last year and now, you might have gained more experience that have also opened your eyes to more opportunities that you think that this is what is more relevant. You can streamline your essays in those lights. Definitely, I mean, it's not even advisable to use exactly the same essay to apply again. There are some things that have changed about it between last year and now. So those things, you have to update them. It can also be your interest. And then I think that also ties to your second question about whether you should, I mean, if your interest has changed, should you change your choices of schools or courses and all? I mean, you don't have to go with the schools that have given you admission if your interest no longer lies with them. If your interest lies somewhere else, you can definitely explore other schools. You don't have to do the same school. So yeah, you can definitely change.
Okay, thank you.
You have a lot of time actually to apply to schools. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think for the sake of time, we might need to stop the questions now. But Solomon's hands has been raised for a while. There was someone else, Ayobami and Solomon. Do you still want to ask your questions? I'll take those last two. Solomon and Ayobami.
No, thank you very much, Martin. Thank you, Dami, again for leading us here. Mine is not necessarily a question, but more a reflection on what you've already said. I have an experience of having gone to the interview session, for example, twice, and throughout there are some things that I learned, and I want to present here again to the team that the team has really planned a very, very concrete way of preparing us for the essays. Most important thing, today we're using it as a reflection, basically, on what exactly is, for example, what do I see, where do I see myself, say, in 10, 20 years, like Daniel was saying. So most importantly, even before you think about writing, before you think about doing anything related to the essay, look at yourself, see what your future looks like, and reflect on it. Then now deep dive down into now the courses that fit that. And I just wanted to add to already what Martin said. Lots of things change along the process, but whatever you choose to take as a change for this application cycle, you'll have to probably maintain it throughout. And that means having the right courses that you feel fits what your desire is for your career plan. And then number two is ensuring that you clearly understand what you'd be solving as a solution in the long run. So as you reflect, most importantly, the Chevening website has a lot of resources. And I think for anyone who is doing it for the first time, that's one thing I'll tell them to really look into. Number two, what is your career plan? I mean, I also wanted to share an experience of someone who wants to change their career plan from, say, economics to human resource. I've had a friend, I think current scholar now, who was initially in marketing, but now he's doing organizational psychology. And that is basically what she has to do. So everything will really center on, for you to have a very good application and have a very good experience throughout, you need to really think about what you envision for this application cycle or your career plan. And don't hurry to apply. First, sit, reflect. And as the guide has been provided, just make sure you're honest to yourself about what you want to do. Then touch it. The team is there to support you, I believe. And I'm encouraging everyone who is already thinking about the essays not to think a lot. Plan, like you said, we have a you can just schedule how you want to do everything. For now, if you've not done anything, start thinking about reflection. I have been reflecting since June, for example, on what I want to do and the changes that I expect. And I realized that I didn't have a lot of changes compared to what I had previously done. And I've been reflecting about what new things I can add to my assets. For example, myself, I already have a picture of, for example, my career plan. Initially, it was changed, but it had my career plan ideally changed along the process of reflecting on my past interview experience, and I feel that I am more confident now because I've taken time to reflect since say June about what I want to do, what's the direction that I'm following. But it really didn't divert that much, but I'm excited with it. So I just wanted to share a bit of an encouragement to colleagues here that take that step-by-step process to reflect and just get as much information that you can get from what has been shared right now to help you actually prepare for a stronger and better application. So just adding a voice to Martins and Dami. Yeah, no question.
Thank you very much, Solomon. That's really great. Last question for time. Eunice?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry. I was going to ask a question initially, but I don't want to be too forward, like you mentioned earlier. But let me just say this, like when I got the email, the admission email into this bootcamp, I was literally dancing in my head. Thank you very much, Global Wings, for this. I really do appreciate. I mean, so many questions in my head have been answered just by this session alone. And I believe that for subsequent sessions, other questions will be answered as well. Thank you and well done.
Okay, in the absence of further questions, thank you all so much. I'm going to quickly put up a poll. We had scheduled that after Dami finishes running us through what a profile should have, like how you should like think through a profile, we'll do a demonstration, but we already pressed for time. We used up all the time for questions, so I would not be able to do a demonstration today. So hopefully at the start of next week's session, I will be able to do a demo of a profile for you guys and how you could do a reflection maybe after you've done it, and then you can go back and maybe change some things on your profile. That will be done. So we're going to quickly put up your assignment and have you do a poll, right? And then we'll call it a day for tonight. But can we just appreciate Mr. Damilare for being with us today? Can we just please give him a round of applause, and then lots of reactions and all that. Thank you.
Thank you, Martins. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Damilare. So I'm going to quickly put up our assignment so that we can see this. Okay. So this is your assignment for this weekend or for this week beginning tomorrow. Your first assignment is to prepare your school and application tracker, take a personality test, make a career plan, optimize your LinkedIn profile, and revamp your resume. These are your 4 applications, 4 assignments, right? We need you to walk through this, go through the weekly bootcamp activities that's already on the WhatsApp group, and you would find the links that will help you get this done. So when you want to build your application tracker, you can click on the link in the Google Sheets, right? And then it take you to a resource, maybe a video you could watch or an actual template. When you want to do the reflection on your career plan, you can take a personality test so you can have adjectives to describe yourself. And then when you want to do the resume optimization, you can read the PDF that we uploaded there. And then you submit this to us. Please, I will want you all to take time to get this done and send it to the team as soon as possible, right? At this time, I'm going to put up a poll, all right? Quickly, did you find this class useful? What was your key takeaway from today's session? Maybe some of you, after today, you don't want to apply for Chevening anymore. Let us know. The poll will be up on your screen already. Can we get responses to the poll? Let's quickly respond to the poll quickly. Thank you. Can we also see the poll, guys? Fantastic. Let's keep the responses coming in. So, and then if you've not followed us yet on YouTube, on LinkedIn, please follow us. It's important that we grow together, right? This video for this session will not be shared because attendance is important. we're only going to make this available possibly at the end of this bootcamp, not at the end of today's session. So maybe if your network was having like serious issues on that ground, you might be giving private access to this section, recording, right? We want to actually get engagements and active people, not people who would be waiting for recorded sessions. And if you're hoping that next week's sessions will be recorded and so you would not be around, I'm so sorry. Recorded sessions would not be shared with participants until after the bootcamp, right? And unless there is a strong ground for why it should be shared. Okay. Now that these are going on, since today is our first day of class, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And if you are convinced or you're in a comfortable place and you can share your video, please turn on your cameras. Let's quickly do like a screenshot, like, oh, we're together today, right? The poll is on your screen, right? Some persons say they cannot see the poll. Okay. The poll is still there. This is the time you guys will start running to chairs to go and sit down. Sit down somewhere and face your camera in a very conducive place. An email will be given for you to submit your assignment. Please turn on your cameras. We have 2 more minutes to end this session.
We cannot start the video because
Okay.
disabled.
Okay, let me give you guys rights to do that. Interesting times. Okay. So you guys can now turn on your videos. Yeah, fantastic.
Still struggling.
We're turning on our videos for screenshots. For those of you asking why.
Still
So why do we need to turn on our videos? People are asking why. That person must be Nigerian. Okay, I love Nigerians. Well, that's a lot of questions. It's a good thing. Okay, yeah. So at the count of 3, say cheese so that you can feature in the future. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Second screenshot. 1, 2, 3. Hold that smile. Hold the smile. Don't lose it yet. Cool. Last screenshot. Fantastic. So that brings us to the end of our session today. More information will be shared. The assignment will be put up on the WhatsApp group. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Dami, for doing this. I know this was on very short notice, and I appreciate you deeply. Good night, everyone. See you on the WhatsApp group. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for the session. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the